what time it is. That's right, it's time for the Eddie and Webby Podcast. Yo, I'ma bust out some theme song action for you. Check it out. The Eddie and Webby Show is the place to be. They're talking about beer and pickleball and technology. So if you didn't know, now you know. 'Cause it's time for the Eddie and Webby Show.
On today's episode, Eddie and Webby become one with nature. This is the Eddie and Webby Podcast.
998, 999, 1,000. Oh, hey, how's it going? This is Webby, not Eddie.
And I'm Eddie, and this is our 65th podcast.
Oh, yeah, episode number 65, and this is going to be another very awesome and jam-packed episode full of fun and excitement.
Another one. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
We have an incredible guest that's going to be coming on a little bit later. And just to remind you guys, this is live. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. And for the two people that care, let's go three. Let's say three today, Webby. The three people that care, we're also live on Twitch.
Nice. That's awesome. But yeah, we love to interact, so please interact with us, and we'll ask your questions.
That's right. If you have any questions for our guest, that's going to be coming on a little bit later. Go ahead and throw them in the chat as well, and we'll definitely see what we can do to get them over. As we mentioned, this is going to be jam-packed. We have a lot of stuff coming your way here. As we typically do, we usually have Dinking Around with Eddie and Webby following our podcast, but today we're actually not going to do that. And I know, right, Webby, everybody's out there crying right now because we're not doing Dinking Around, but we're not going to be able to do that one tonight. So it's just going to be the podcast, but I promise you it's going to be jam-packed, right?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, so you're not going to want to miss any single second of it.
That's right. Before we bring our guest on, though, I really want to know, and I know you guys all do, Webby, what's going on in Twitter?
Oh, man, good old Twitter. Twitter has been blowing up more than ever lately. And let's read a couple comments here. Here's one from Brad A. Shunk. And Brad says, please, Eddie and Webby, provide video coverage of Ben Johns versus Dave Weinbach and Dane Gingrich, and Ben Johns using a metal spatula versus Eddie and Webby. That is going to be awesome. And yeah, I agree. I think both of those are going to be awesome. I don't know if we're going to have the pleasure of being at the 2 versus 1 match that you mentioned. But yeah, for those that don't know, Ben Johns did challenge Eddie and Webby to a match where he uses a metal spatula against Eddie and I, and we get to use regular pickleball paddles. And and yeah, that's going to happen at some point. We don't know when, but that will definitely have video coverage. You can rest assured there.
Yeah, definitely going to be a fun match. So thank you very much for that Twitter comment. We appreciate that.
Yeah, very much. Let's do another Twitter comment. Here's one from Samuel Mike L. Jackson. I sure hope Kyle Yates' hand has recovered. Leave it to Eddie and Webby to cause one of pickleball's greatest players to get injured due to their stupid show. And for anybody not familiar with what he's talking about, that was during the episode when Irina Terashenko joined us, which was our most recent episode. Kyle, he kind of hijacked the show for a little bit, did a little cooking show, had a little mishap with the knife, and we actually found out afterwards he faked it. He was acting. That was not real. We legitimately thought he actually cut himself, but you can rest assured he did not cut himself. That was ketchup, he said.
Yeah, I got to tell you, man, Kyle, if pickleball doesn't work out for you, you could have a career in acting. Seriously, that was very impressive. We didn't even know it was you until you took the mustache off and revealed yourself.
Right? Yeah, we thought it was Senor Taco. I had no idea that it was the one and only Kyle Yates. But
craziness.
Yeah, that was fun. Very fun times. Good stuff. Let's do one more comment here on Twitter. Here's one from Blake Shelton John 72. The Eddie and Webby podcast episode with Irina Terashenko was hands down the best one yet. She should be part of the show every week. You know what? I kind of agree with that. I would love if she was part of the show every week.
I agree. She was a lot of fun to have on. I know that we got a lot of great reactions from our audience on that. And everybody's got to love Irina. Irina is just one of the coolest people ever.
Yeah, and definitely one of my favorite episodes so far. But I do think tonight could definitely give it a run for its money. No doubt about that.
That's right. Why do you think it might, Webby?
I think it's because we have a pretty awesome guest.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the guest to you guys tonight. Our guest tonight has been on the show a couple times, but has always had to kind of share the spotlight with others. Not tonight, though. He has made himself very well known in the pickleball world and also played poker in his past life. You all know who I'm talking about. Please welcome to the show, the one and only Adam Stone. What's going on, man?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Dude, we're doing awesome. We're super excited to be able to have you on. As I did mention before, you were on briefly just over a year ago. You and Cassandra Gerke came on during the Florida Grand Slam down here in Bonita Springs. You've made a couple appearances through some of the pros asking pros questions. You were actually live during Deckel's podcast as well, a month, 6 weeks ago or so. But now it's here. Now it's all about you.
Yes.
The whole world wants to know just
what's right. I don't like sharing the spotlight. Like you said, that's twice. Twice I had to share. I don't like that.
Well, now the spotlight is completely on you. And as you guys know, we like to get our guests nice and loose, get Webby and I nice and loose before we get, into a lot of the questions here. So I don't know about you, Webby, but do you think we should have a drink? I mean, that would be something new that we've never done before.
Yeah, I think that's a groundbreaking idea. And actually, Chuck Frame left a message and said, hello from Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. What kind of beer are you drinking tonight? Perfect timing for that question.
That's right. And why don't we start with you, Adam? Are you partaking in a certain beverage this evening?
I have some red wine here. It's quite nice. It's a Pinot Noir, and like I mentioned to you guys, I think a podcast is a little bit of more of a beer for a beverage type deal, but you got to roll with what you got, and this is what I got, so I'm pretty happy with it.
All right.
What
do you think it would pair nicely with?
I don't know. Filet
food. I mean, honestly, anytime I think of Pinot Noir, I think of like filet mignon, mashed potatoes, and like haricot vert, which is the fancy word for green beans, right?
Oh, that's fantastic. I think that works great.
Nice. Well, Webby, what about you? What are you going to be enjoying this evening?
Oh, man, I am sipping on something that has become one of my favorites. It's a great seasonal beer, and this actually just got released, or at least as far as I know, it just got released on the shelves. And this one comes from Founders Brewing, and this is Green Zebra.
Oh, okay.
And this is a Goza-style ale brewed with watermelon and sea salt, and it is very tasty and refreshing.
Sounds
just before
like
the show, we were talking a little bit about sour beers, and although Gozas aren't fully a sour, they fall on that end. And that's a delicious one. We tried to drink that, but we couldn't find it, so we had to drink watermelon Four Loko. And I don't know.
next best thing, right?
It's the next best thing to Green Zebra. So.
Oh my god! I just remember those killing people back in the day, right?
Four Loko? Man, they had to take them off the shelves because people were getting so caffeinated up and drunk, and it was a train wreck of a night.
Oh my god!
What about you, Eddie? What are you drinking tonight?
So one of my favorite beers out there, that's probably my top 10 beers of all time, is Sweetwater's 420. I love it. It's a great pale ale. It's super hoppy. It's awesome. And today I was looking for something very special, and I went to Publix, and I was walking by the beer aisle. And usually at Publix, I'm not really surprised by any of the beers that they have. But tonight I walked by and I saw this Sweetwater 420 strain G13 IPA. And I want to read the description here, because 420 in itself is it's a very hop forward American pale ale. But this says let me rephrase that. It's kind of a hop forward IPA. But this one says, we took an already dank IPA and married its hops with strain specific terpenes and natural hemp type flavor. The result is an aromatic, super hybrid, sticky IPA that's ready to rip. So this sounds super dank, and I'm very excited to be able to try this.
I've never heard more marijuana references in one description in my life.
420, hemp, dank. I know, man. It's crazy, isn't it?
Nice.
There you
we
go.
got a message here on YouTube from Pro Pickleball. They said, Adam, happy belated birthday.
Oh, well, thank you, Pro Pickleball. I appreciate that. It's been a couple days now. I just hit 3-8. So I'm creeping towards 40. It's a little scary, but it's all good.
Well, you are the same age as Webby and me. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought you were younger for some
club.
reison, just because of how I don't know, because of maybe how you look or your athleticism. I thought you were a little younger than us, but
yeah. Well, I'll take those. That'll work. I thought you were going to say personality or immaturity. Made me seem younger, but I'll take the other two. That's good.
Nice, man.
Nice.
Well, I'm excited to dig more into this beer here a little bit and kind of sit down and talk with you, Adam. We're not going to talk at all about pickleball tonight, though. Is that cool?
Oh yeah, whatever you guys want. I'm along for the ride.
I think people would boycott us if we really didn't talk pickleball at all. But before we get into that, though, obviously you are one of the top players in the game right now. What other sports have you played prior to pickleball? Obviously besides pickleball.
Well, I grew up playing pretty much everything, and I kind of going into high school, I kind of had to choose between soccer and tennis. They're both year-round sports, and I probably just wasn't good enough to play both. So I kind of had to make the choice between those two, and ended up playing tennis instead of soccer. I was pretty competitive in both sports. Was on a traveling soccer team and was playing tournaments for tennis and intermediate school. So those were my two main sports. I really liked basketball as well, but I was quite short, so I didn't choose that. I actually might have preferred tennis was my favorite to play, but I think basketball might have been number two ahead of soccer. But I was better at soccer, so that was my number two in terms of picking a sport to play. But so I went with tennis, and I'm pretty happy with that decision. It's a great sport. Played in college, played after college, played a lot in my early 30s as well, and now I don't play at all anymore.
We hear that story a lot, man. It's like you pick up that pickleball paddle and tennis just slowly starts to fade away.
Yeah, I went 3 years, and so I actually played tennis for the first time about a week or two ago, and it was more fun than I thought. But it had been 3 full years since I had played, and I can't say that I miss it much. It's a great sport. It's given me a lot, but I put a lot of time into it, and I think I was just done with it. So pickleball came around at a pretty good time for me.
That's awesome. So where did you grow up?
I was born in Charleston, West Virginia. Actually, there is a big DuPont plant there, and that's the company my dad worked for. So was there through 3rd grade, and then in 4th grade I moved to Houston, and that's been my home base pretty much ever since. I've had a couple stints living other places, but I definitely consider Houston home.
Okay. And is that still, I know you travel around a lot, obviously, but is that still where you kind of consider home?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick a spot that I would call home, it would be Houston, but I would say I'm there average of less than 5 days a month. So I'm pretty much all over the map, everywhere and nowhere, traveling for tournaments, was planning on working a bit more this year with some clinics and some camps. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened lately, but I'm on the road almost constantly, and maybe that'll get old at some point, but it's working for right now.
That's cool. So what's the pickleball scene like in the Houston area?
It's solid. It's solid. Texas is, as you know, it's huge. It's got a great tennis background. I think there's a lot of potential in Texas, but there's a bit of a lack of permanent facilities. So a lot of the play is, like a lot of places, it's taped on tennis courts. There's plenty of parks and places that have lines, but no permanent nets and no permanent facilities besides for a couple, and most of those are in 55 plus communities or retirement communities in the area. So I think it has a ton of potential. And it has caught in almost all the big cities, but until we get some permanent facilities or some permanent courts, the growth will probably only be so much until that happens.
Yeah, you have to meet the demand, or else people are going to start losing interest if they don't have the place to play it, right?
Right. Yeah, and someone who's more into it, taping the lines and putting up a temp net and all that stuff, not that big of a deal. But for someone just walking up to play or wanting to start, it's a bit of a hurdle if they don't have that permanent facility to just walk out and start playing. So I think Texas will be a player on the national scene in terms of pickleball. I just think it's probably lagging a little bit behind right now.
Yeah. One of our friends who we've had on the show a couple times, Andrew, he has a business called Pickle and Pints. Are you familiar with that at all?
Oh yeah, no, I've heard of that. Yeah, I've heard of that. It's just that's like some breweries in Houston, and they set up I've definitely heard of that. I have not attended anything, and I heard that's cool, and that's a cool idea. I'm glad he's doing that. So I don't know if it's open yet, but I think they have a Chicken and Pickle in San Antonio.
Okay.
Or they were building it. Maybe they're building it and it's not ready yet. But so that's cool. Maybe that'll, get it going a little bit more, and we can see some more growth in Texas. It'd be great.
Do you think we're going to see more of those? I mean, I think they're called experiential dining right now, like the Topgolf, Chicken and Pickle. Do you think we're going to see more of those like pickleball piggyback businesses or things that kind of work in parallel, kind of like a Chicken and Pickle popping up?
I don't see why not. I'm certainly not an expert on that stuff, but I went to the Chicken and Pickle Franklin Masters last year, and I had never been to a Chicken and Pickle before, and it's fantastic. It's you don't even have to leave. All the other stuff. I knew they had pickleball. I knew they had nice courts, good facilities, whatever. But I didn't realize that the other games, the bar, the food, all of that stuff was so good, and it really is a whole experience. There was plenty of people there playing pickleball, watching pickleball, but there was a lot of people that were there just to enjoy themselves and play some cornhole or the big block Jenga game or whatever the hell they had going on. So I think that, mixing that all together and, maybe getting a little variety, everyone's got a little something they like. I don't see why that wouldn't work. It was a fun place, and it was packed. So there was tons of people there, and they were enjoying themselves. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's definitely on the list for me and Webby to try and make our rounds to get out there to Chicken and Pickle, and especially with the new locations popping up. Maybe there's one that's going to be a little bit better, more convenient for us to get to. But
yeah,
it looks like
no, for sure. I think there's 3 now. I think there's, or if the San Antonio one's done, I think that makes 3. So obviously they've been having some success if they're still building them. So that's great.
Yeah, I love it. So you talked a little bit about sports that you've played in the past, but I want to talk about something that is maybe more considered a game that you've played professionally, and I brought it up a little bit when I was introducing you, but that's poker. Can you talk a little bit about that? It seems like you have a little bit of experience playing poker professionally.
Yes, I did that for I don't even know, 12 or 13 years, something like that. So it started where I was teaching tennis and coaching tennis. So coaching at the University of Texas at Tyler. That's the last school that I went to and played at. And so I was coaching at the university, doing a little bit of private lesson stuff at a local country club. And I started kind of mixing poker in. I had a buddy who got me kind of involved in some home games around town. It was actually quite an intricate circuit where you could pretty much find a game every day, and so I just kind of started mixing it in to my routine and playing a couple times a week, once a week, twice a week, whatever. And after 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5 of doing them both, I just decided to stop the tennis completely and just focus on playing poker. And so I would say for 6 or 7 years, that was my sole source of income, and my only job was playing poker.
So what years was this?
This was probably age, I don't know, 22 to 34, somewhere in that range. So okay. I have not played. Poker's awesome. Just like I said about tennis, it's given a lot to me. I think it's a very cool game, but I was getting a little bit burnt out too at the same time. And so for another reason why pickleball came around at a good time. So basically when I started playing pickleball, my poker hours went down drastically. and so like I said, it came in at the right time, and I've certainly played, especially at the beginning when I was playing pickleball, but now I'm not playing any poker at all.
Okay. All right. Webby, looks like we have maybe some questions here on social media coming in.
Yeah, there was one in particular that I wanted to get to right now, and this came from Chuck Frame. And he says, question for Adam, ignoring the prize money, would you rather win a World Series of Poker bracelet or the gold in pro singles at nationals?
Well, that's that first statement is quite important. Ignoring the prize money is quite important in that. So I'll go gold in pro singles at nationals.
All right. I could imagine the prize money that goes along with the bracelet. It's probably a little bit more than what you get for winning nationals.
I would say slightly, yes. So I haven't played a lot of tournament poker. Most of my poker has been cash games. But I did make one World Series of Poker final table. So I actually was in, I could sniff a bracelet. I ended up getting 7th, I believe. Mm-hmm. So I didn't quite get there, but it was a very cool experience, and I have no doubt that winning a bracelet would be pretty awesome.
So speaking of that, as you know, we have a whole team of researchers here on the Eddie and Webby show that dig deep into people's pasts. I actually have a few pictures that I think are from this event that you're referring to here. And I kind of want you to walk us through what's going on, because my knowledge of poker is obviously significantly smaller than you, but I did enjoy playing it for quite a while. I did watch a lot of it on TV, so I can kind of imagine what was going through your head a little bit. So I have a few pictures, and we're going to start with picture number 1. There you are.
Oh yeah. So that's a pretty good chip stack there. So that's the first thing I notice. I guess I have a pretty serious look on my face. I never wear sunglasses. I always wear a hat and regular glasses when I play. And at the Rio hotel and casino, it's very cold, so you always have a jacket on when you're in there. So that's pretty much that picture. That was from that tournament. And if you ever, the yellows are 1,000, the light blues are 500, and the blacks are 100. So if you ever get a chip stack like that in a World Series of Poker tournament, you're usually in a good situation. So it was a fun run.
So you're feeling good there. Talk about this next picture in the lineup here. Was this before
I think
or
that was
after?
That was actually at the final table. So that's after. Okay. So those orange chips are worth 5,000, and the green chips are worth 25,000. So this is a little further along in the tournament. Looks like I have I'm happy. I got a smile there. It probably looks like I might need a haircut. But other than that, I think it looks fine.
All right. And then here we go. We have the final picture.
This was actually So I had lost probably, I don't know, 80 or 90% of my chip stack. I got crippled in a hand, and then I won a very small, modest all in. And so this was me kind of faking a celebration a little bit because I won a very small pot in this situation. And 5 or 10 minutes before that, I had lost almost all of my chips. So I guess I was being a good sport about it, trying to roll with it. But yeah, I got destroyed by some guy probably about 5 or 10 minutes before this.
What year was that?
Oh God, it's a great question. I would probably say 7 or 8 years ago. 7 or 8 years ago. So yeah, that would be my best guess. Yeah, I think that was my last trip to Vegas too. I might have gone on one more to play tournaments. Yeah, so I would say 7 years ago.
It's pretty exciting, man. You're actually the first person I've ever met that has been successful in making a living off of poker. You know, as I mentioned, I went and played a couple times at casinos. Me and my buddies 15 years ago, you know, we would have,
Yeah.
you know, tournaments, $20 buy-in type of things. And it was just a lot of fun, but never really was able to kind of master it to the level, obviously, that you did.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a cool game. I kind of there's not. I wish I would have played more tournaments because I mean I think I was a better cash game player, but I mean tournaments are cool because you get a little notoriety. People can kind of follow it a little bit. There's a little bit more of that going on. They're a little bit of a crapshoot. A little bit more luck involved in tournaments than cash games, so more variance. So I didn't make that the bread and butter of my poker game, but I kind of wish I would have played a little bit more because they are very exciting, and you can kind of get some friends and family to follow along with you, which is a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's so cool. You also talked a little bit about soccer. Did you ever play that after high school, or was tennis pretty much primarily what you did through college and after that?
Yeah, it was basically eighth grade. So
Okay.
eighth grade, I made the choice. Kind of sat down with my parents and decided what I was going to do. So after eighth grade, going into freshman year of high school, if I played soccer, it was completely for fun, maybe a handful of times a year, and I pretty much went full force into tennis. And so I cut out, besides for, goofing around or playing with friends, I pretty much cut out other sports in terms of competitive play, and it ended up rolling with tennis. So like I said, Texas is a very, very good tennis state. So there's lots of tournaments. I traveled to cities at least once a month to play junior tournaments throughout the state, along with playing for my high school. And yeah, I think it was, even though I don't play anymore and don't miss it, like I said, I think it was a very cool experience, and I'm very happy that I got involved in tennis, and it's been very good for me.
So looking at, soccer and tennis is kind of the two sports you brought up leading into pickleball. What do you think you brought from both of them that's really kind of helped you with your pickleball game?
I mean, I think just the court sense and anticipation translates pretty quick from tennis to pickleball, especially in singles. Doubles, there's obviously a bit more of a learning curve. But I just think the combination of, fast hands and fast feet are really important for pickleball. I think that movement and, reacting when you're attacked are, probably the two, if not the most important, high on the list. So I think that not only is footwork extremely important in tennis, but having soccer as well for that, combined with obvious, hand speed and volleying, and doubles being my favorite game in tennis, I think that I had a pretty reasonable level of base of hand speed and foot speed for pickleball. And I think that helped me a lot. I'm not very tall. I don't have the reach of some guys. So, being able to move well and have good footwork and get yourself set for your shots, I think is extremely important. And I think both sports really helped me with that growing up.
So let's talk a little bit about pickleball. I think you said you started about 4 years ago. Did you say that? Or am I making that up here?
I think it's 3. And
3?
To be honest, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to think about it. It might be a little bit over 3. I think it's probably 3 years and a couple months is my best guess.
How'd you discover it?
Well, my mom. So my dad, my family is tennis players, and my mom had some friends that were kind of getting interested in pickleball or maybe transitioning over a little bit. And my dad had recently retired. And so I think she was kind of trying to get him out of the house a little bit. I was there visiting one day or one weekend, and she suggested that we go, I was living in Dallas at the time, that we go play pickleball at this rec center. And so I was, whatever. I didn't think much of it, just go hang out with pops, and so we ended up going to play, and I got, quite addicted quite quickly. I kind of, it's a cool game. It's a fun game. I realized that I had a decent skill set for it. So when I went back to Dallas, I ended up just kind of going to some rec centers, kind of working my way up the ladder. And then eventually, I don't know if you guys know him. I'm sure you do, though. I ran into Dave Fleming, who is a top senior player, great guy. And we kind of got started together. He kind of plucked me from a rec center and was like, hey, we have a group of guys who are a little bit higher level. You should come jump in with our group. And once I kind of tasted a little bit higher level play, then I was really addicted. And I was lucky enough to be, self-employed, playing poker. I was able to transition quickly and start playing quite often. And, a lot of people have more complicated lives or a serious job or something like that. And so it's a little bit harder for them to jump right in. And I was able to get right into it. And so I was thankful for that.
So talk to me about that first time that Dave Fleming brought you into that higher level play. I'm curious to know from your perspective, what did you learn right away versus what you saw maybe playing recreationally?
Just that, if you probably just, if you can do kind of whatever you want if you're playing with lower level players. So you can make, you can make bad decisions and still be rewarded, attacking probably bad balls, going off your shoe tops and just ripping it, not even worrying about dinking or resetting because you don't have to. So I think that, if I'm just going to the rec center, just gripping it and ripping it and pegging 70-year-old guys in the chest and stuff like that, I jumped in with a little bit higher level group, and, I probably tried a few of those shots and they came back quicker than I hit them. So if your shot selection is poor against poor players, it probably doesn't matter. If your shot selection is poor against good players, you're probably going to pay for it. And I think I learned that lesson quickly.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you definitely hear that where it's like people will, like the Waters, for example, they showed up on the court and were just banging the crap out of the ball, and it was working. It was even working in tournament play. And then they started to kind of, get in with some higher level people and realize that those shots obviously are going to be a little bit more challenging. Or
I don't know. They're pretty good at it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, they definitely have embraced all facets of the game.
Right.
And I think we've seen that a lot. You step on the court with higher level people and you're like, that's not going to work. I can't muscle my way through this anymore.
Yeah. You just have to, I mean, that's cool about pickleball. There's no right way to play. There just isn't. Right. So, you kind of have to match it to your skill set. And, if I mean, if you're if you're getting all the reward for the risk you're taking, then I mean, just keep doing it. So the waters are they're special. They're special ladies, or lady and girl, and they're good at what they do. And so, and I think maybe you're right. They have very slightly slowed it down from when they first jumped in, but they're good at what they do, and so good for them. Not everyone can do that, and that's when what you're talking about, the situation where you have to understand who you're dealing with and slow the ball down in certain situations. And I'm just not as good at attacking as they are. So and most people aren't. So they have to find another way, whereas they can kind of, for the most part, just power through it and do their thing.
For sure. Webby, what's going on social media?
Well, we got a good question here from Jordan Dayton, and he says, who does Adam practice and drill with most of the time, and who's his favorite person to play against, and why?
That's a good question. I kind of, like I said, with some of the freedom, I kind of usually I don't really play much pickleball at all in Houston. So in terms of practicing and drilling, I kind of go to tournaments early or stayed at tournaments late. So I've kind of developed a pretty good web of friends and practice partners. And so I usually like to travel to practice, and that in between tournaments, going a place 3 days early, getting there Tuesday or Wednesday as opposed to Friday night before the tournament starts. That's a lot of the practice that I end up doing. And there's a handful of people that are kind of like me, where they're either pickleball full time or it's a high percentage of what they're doing work wise. So there's usually at least a decent group before the tournament to get some practice in. A lot of people have other responsibilities, more family and work stuff, and they can't quite get there till right before the tournament starts. And I get that, but I'm luckily in a situation where I can be a little bit more flexible with when I get to tournaments and when I leave tournaments, and kind of pick up some good practice games along the way.
Thanks, man.
Oh, and who is my favorite person to play against? I mean, there's a few people that I like to play against. Most of the guys are great in terms of having, good sportsmanship on the court and having a fun experience while playing. But I like playing Ben. Usually doesn't go very well for me, but I've been able to catch him a few times, and your senses are probably a little heightened when you're playing the top player in the game. And so like I said, it doesn't happen too often, but I just want to beat him so badly. I just want to hit him with the ball. I just want to crush him. I just want to do terrible things to him. Even though he's a nice guy and he is my buddy, when I get on the court, I just want to challenge him heads up. I just want to, win hands battles against him. I just want to beat him. And, and that's cool. If he brings another level out of you or something like that, then that's the kind of person I like playing against.
So what have you seen then, the last 3 years you've been in the sport? How have you kind of seen it evolve into where now you have kind of been one of the top players out there right now, if not the top player?
Oh no, I mean, Ben, it's pretty clear. I hope he's not listening, but Ben's definitely the best player. I
was trying not to feed his ego too much here.
Please. Yeah. I'm sure he's not listening, but maybe he is. But yeah, screw that guy. Screw you, Ben. If you are listening, screw you, man. But yeah, no, it's come a long way. It's just it's a deeper player pool now. A lot of the guys that were good back in the day, they're still great players. They're awesome. I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but the first couple rounds of a tournament, or even maybe until you got to the semifinals, it was kind of understood who was going to be there, because there just wasn't a huge amount of in the player pool. So now I think it's a little more evened out. You still have the studs of the game who are, finishing high almost all the time, but there's just a little bit more of fear in the early rounds and in the middle rounds that, one of these up and comers or one of these talented players can kind of snipe you. So I think that, so just the influx of talent and the quantity of talented players is much higher, and I'm sure will only get higher as we continue to move forward. But I think that's probably the main change. And I'm certainly not a rookie, but a lot of the other guys have maybe been playing a little bit longer, so they can maybe speak to that a little bit more. But that's kind of how I see it. I don't think the strategy is terribly different. There might be some more aggressive play, a few more speed ups, a little bit of different stuff going on in that regard. But I think, especially for the men, it's still relatively similar. It's just just a lot more quality competition, and there's definitely hardly any easy matches, and you got to be on your toes all the time, or you might take an early loss.
That's for sure, man. I mean, there's definitely no shortage of talent out there right now in the pickleball world.
Yeah, it's only going to get worse. They're coming. Damn tall Europeans or something like that, just like tennis. Bastards. They're so good. We're
seeing it happen. Well, I mean, during obviously this whole coronavirus thing we have going on, it's probably been more challenging to find the ability to train, to be able to drill and stuff like that. So what have you been doing during this time to kind of keep yourself at that level?
Oh, I've been pretty lucky. I haven't even been back to Houston since the quarantine. So I played the California Open kind of when everything was getting ramped up. And after the California Open, I had 2 level up camps that I was going to teach in Palm Desert. And that's right about when the shit kind of hit the fan. So we got to teach one day of the camp, and then it got canceled. So after that, I came across country and ended up in Florida with kind of quarantining with a group of very good players. So I got some good play in there. I know we had the ESPN3 thing, which was a lot of fun. There was a little bit of backlash on that, but we were all in that area, and we had been living together for quite a long time, and so there were some great opportunities for practice there, and so I was quite lucky. I'm sure there's more than a couple people who are pretty screwed in their practice situation, and unable to play 4 on a court, and if they are playing skinny singles or drilling, maybe with a little bit of lesser competition, I guess. So I was a little lucky in that regard, and I'm happy for that. And I've been staying sharp and working out a decent amount, but I have been eating uncontrollably. So I might have added a couple of pounds, even though I feel like I'm in pretty good shape right now.
So you've put on maybe not the COVID-19, but like the COVID 5 or 6.
Yeah, maybe the COVID-9. Yeah, take the one out. That might be me. But yeah, so I've been there's nothing else to do besides for cook and eat. So I've just been doing a lot of that. So and maybe an extra beer or two, or a glass of wine or two in the evening times too. So trying to make the most of it, but I've been lucky with my practice situation, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, we can all relate to putting on those few extra pounds. I've been trying really hard right now with a lot of Simone students, and we're doing these exercises every day that she's sending to us. And so I'm trying hard to do it, but I agree with you, man. It's like, you're like, I don't have anything else to do, so maybe I'll have an extra beer tonight than I normally would. Or right. Let's keep cooking and doing all this. So anyway,
I see this message here from old Jay here. I honestly don't know. He's saying drinking French wine, and I do not know, Jay. It is. I don't know. I got nothing for you. Sorry, buddy. I'm sure French wine is fantastic. I'm sure you've had more than a couple glasses, but maybe I am drinking French wine. I don't even know it. So let's just go with that.
Yes, Jay, that he is drinking French wine. So
yes, French wine.
you're good. Yeah. I like it, man. Well, what's funny is like I had a whole bunch of questions that I want to be able to go through with you, but we had a whole ton of our pro friends submit a lot of questions for the upcoming segment for pros asking pros questions. So I think I actually have to stop, or else we're gonna start teetering around some of them. But before we get into that, Webby, it looks like there's maybe some social media action going on.
Yeah, I just have a couple things I want to bring up. One of them was actually on Twitter earlier today, and it was a really good question that I thought would be good to ask right now. And that came from Brad A. Shunk, and he said, I'd love you to ask Adam Stone how he game plans for each men's doubles match in a tournament. Do he and his partner attack/pick on one of their opponents, or do they use their strengths and not attack/pick on one of their opponents?
Oh, Brad. Okay. That's a good question. I think that, as I mentioned, the talent gap becomes more narrow, that things like game planning and having a set strategy before you go into the match, along with partner rapport and, things that if the talent gap is bigger, don't really matter that much. The best team's probably going to win. When you're playing someone very close in skill, and there's so many teams out there like that, I think these things become more important. So I think game planning, deciding what your base strategy is going to be going in, whether that's picking on someone, whether that's implementing a strategy to get the ball to go to your strength more often, whatever it may be, I just think it's super important. And, maybe a little bit more early on, I just kind of went out there and played as opposed to coming up with the strategy beforehand. So I think that that's super important. And I think that having that base strategy and a go-to when you get in those stressful situations of a match is a really good thing to have. And of course you can change your strategy, you can adjust, you can come up with something new if your strengths aren't on that day, or their weaknesses are not what you thought they would be. You can make that adjustment, but going in with a couple little set plans against a good team, I think can very much be the little bump that gets you the W. So I think that is really important.
Nice. Now, before we get to the pros asking pros questions segment, there is one more comment. It's kind of a big deal because it comes from Twitch. We hardly ever get comments from Twitch.
No way.
Twitch is cool.
Says, y'all know how to set up a urinal. I have no idea what they mean by that, but it's a big deal because it comes from Twitch.
I've just got a bucket next to me. So that's all I need, just in case. I got a lot of water, I got a lot of wine up here, so that's my urinal. So that's all I know. No,
so I think that's
Twitch is a good.
Yeah, I love Twitch.
Twitch is a good spot for poker. There's a lot of good poker on Twitch, so okay. that's why I know Twitch. But continue. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I love Twitch too. This is probably only our third comment or question we've ever gotten from Twitch, and every single one we've ever gotten has always been totally random. It had nothing to do with anything we're talking about.
Nothing to do.
So had to do it. Just had to do it.
That's good.
Do they want to know how to install the urinal? How to I have so many questions.
I have no idea.
That's really good stuff, though. That's really good.
That's great.
Yeah, from there, I think now is a perfect time to get to one of our favorite segments, and it's something we started doing not too long ago, but we absolutely love it, and this is the Pros Asking Pros Questions segment. Oh yeah.
Scary.
Are you ready for this? You ready for this? It's probably a good idea you're drinking that wine. You might want to drink a little bit more.
Let's do it.
All right, so we're starting off strong with one of the best players in all of pickleball, and that is none other than Ben Johns.
Hi, Adam. I have a couple questions for you. First of all, at your level, how do you become more of a non-basic pickleball player? Secondly, back in your poker days, did you have a favorite or a go-to play? Now, obviously, I know poker is very situational, but did you have a favorite?
Oh, man,
Wow,
great questions.
Okay. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. So my poker play was just to frivolously just go all in a lot. That was my poker play. So yeah, that's pretty much what I did. No, I was a pretty aggressive player, kind of loose aggressive a little bit. So I would kind of, light some money on fire, but maybe get some calls and some big hands paid off that I probably shouldn't have. So just betting a lot. That's my favorite poker play for sure. And then in terms of non-basic pickleball play, it's a funny question, a little bit of an inside joke. So I don't know when this was, maybe a year and a half ago, something like that. I see Deckel sending me a little message down here at the bottom. So I asked Ben what he thought of my game and what he suggested that I might work on. And so basically he told me I was too basic. He he did give me a little bit of credit. He said that, I was a good dinker and blocker and had a solid base for my game, but that when he played me, he wasn't very concerned because I just did simple shit all the time. So, I didn't really think much of that, and when he mentioned that, I very much took that to heart. He's a great player, smart kid, and even though he's half my age, I tend to listen to when he's talking, especially about pickleball. So I kind of started implementing some different speed ups from different parts of the court and kind of making my game a little less vanilla. And so I appreciate him for mentioning that, and hopefully I can just crush him with that knowledge that he gave me over and over again moving forward. That's what I would say about that.
Nice.
That's
all
funny.
right. So this next question comes from a very good friend of ours, and that is Catherine Parenteau.
Hey guys, hi Adam, hi Eddie and Webby. I hope you're all doing well. I have a question for you, Adam. After all of this is over, what tournament are you looking most forward to?
Oh, that's a good question. First off, I would like to apologize to Catherine. We have played pickleball together one time in a tournament, and it was a disaster. I played so bad that she had no chance to do anything. She's a very nice person. She was very nice to me and sweet to me as I missed every other shot that I took. And hopefully, Catherine, maybe we can play something else down the road, and I might get a little redemption for us. Favorite tournament or a tournament looking forward to play? That is a good question. I had quite a full slate of tournaments before the current situation. I was talking about Eddie and Webby, how I like the Beer City Open, and a couple. It's one of my favorite non-major tournaments, and one of my favorite tournaments in general. And I have a couple tournaments in that mid tier that I'm a big fan of, but it's still nationals for me. I like the U.S. Open. I like TOC. I like multiple tournaments, but nationals, the facility, the courts, going there early and staying for the whole 8 or 9 days or whatever it is. It's just a really great experience, and I have found that I enjoy that tournament more than any other one. And I think I'm hoping it's far enough in the distance that it won't be messed with by any of this stuff. But being in early November, but I guess I'll just keep my fingers crossed for that. And I would definitely say nationals is the one I'm most looking forward to. Thanks,
Nice,
Catherine.
yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah, thank you very much for the question, Catherine. And this next question comes from somebody else that Adam has teamed up with on the pickleball court, and that is Susie Anderson.
Hey there, Adam. So I've been thinking about what question to ask you, and I remember when I first met you and you told me you were a professional poker player, and I thought that was really cool. So my question for you is, have you found anything from your professional poker days that has helped you in your mental game or your ability to strategize or think ahead in your pickleball game?
Oh, Susie, appreciate that question. Hope things are good in Utah. I think that's a really good question, and I think that it absolutely, there's multiple things. I would say the main thing is being self-aware and understanding when, in poker, a lot of times you lose when there's a lot of variance, there's a lot of luck involved, and you lose when you make the right decision, and you win when you make the wrong decision. So it's very easy to, I don't know, win $2,000 in a poker game that given day and make many bad decisions and then work out for you. So having a good long-term strategy and understanding that in the short term, or point to point in pickleball, shot to shot in pickleball, anything can happen. You need to understand why, if you made a bad decision on a shot that you're going to lose 8 or 9 out of 10 of those points, you need to understand that, and you're going to win that one, and they're going to be right on it and miss that ball, but you need to understand those situations. And so when you make a good decision in a good shot and they hit a better shot, then you clap your hands. If you make a bad decision and you go for a ball you shouldn't have gone to and you got away with it, you need to understand that that wasn't good strategy and it just worked out that time. So pickleball, it happens fast, it happens quick. Games are, it's just boom, boom, boom. And so coming in the moment and after the match, understanding, what really happened on the court, I think is very important, and I think having a poker background helps me to do that.
All right, nice, great stuff. This next question comes from somebody who really needs no introduction, but it's somebody that Eddie and I are huge fans of, and that is the one and only Simone Jardim.
Hey Adam, how you doing? Just wondering if with no pickleball, unfortunately, if you've been playing some more online poker or if you've given that up completely.
Thank you, Simone, for the question, and appreciate you putting on the skills challenge, whatever that was a week or two ago, where I slightly embarrassed myself, but that's okay.
The Easter Bowl, baby.
Yeah, like Ben said, I'm basic. I have no trick shots. So the skills challenge with the between the legs and behind the backs was tough for me.
Well, you had the wind that
Simone,
was pretty nasty there. Sorry to.
Yeah, right. We did have a bit
brutal.
of a brutal wind. Gale force breeze, if that's a thing. Yeah. Gale force breeze. So I actually, it's funny that she mentioned that, because it kind of got in my head a little bit. I still watch a little bit of poker, and I still kind of check a forum or two out here and there, and I noticed that the online poker traffic was up quite a bit during this COVID-19 stuff. So I actually thought about it extensively, but I didn't jump over and do it. So I have not played online poker since this started, and at this point I don't think I'm going to, but I very, very, very much considered it.
All right. Our next question comes from a great pickleball player with a really cool sounding voice. Here's a question from Patrick Smith.
What's up, Stoney? Spotlight's on you. My question to you is, what do you do to keep your forehand drive sharp and ready to go once quarantine is over? Also hope all is well, you're safe and healthy, and you're able to enjoy a couple of cold ones here and there. Just one at a time, mate, though.
Here and there? All the time, Pat. Come on.
And one
No,
at a time, he says. One at a time.
appreciate that question, Pat. Up and comer on the scene. Nice guy. I've had some good battles with him, and I'm sure plenty more moving forward. The forehand drive. Basically, you just hit it as flat as possible, as close to the net as possible. And sometimes it's amazing, and sometimes it's terrible. And that's pretty much how my forehand drive works. I feel like I have a pretty good one, but I really don't. Yeah, I really don't drill or do anything specific for it. I have a continental grip, so I generate very little spin. I actually probably have more side spin than top spin on my drive. But yeah, when it gets hot, it can be a very big weapon for me, and I love to use the third shot drive, fifth shot drop when it's on. But unfortunately, with the low margin for error with how flat my ball is, sometimes it's just not there. So sometimes I put it in the back pocket and focus on my dropping. But when my drive is on, or even just not off, I like to use it quite a bit, and I feel like it serves me well, and I'm a big fan of it, and I will absolutely continue to use it quite often moving forward.
All right. For our next question, we actually want to play it without introducing the individual in the video to see if you can guess who it is.
God.
So let's go ahead and
Rob Cassidy?
roll the next one.
Hey Adam, before you're fixing to have breakfast, do you have a specific morning routine to make you such a good athlete?
I don't know who that was.
All right,
It's definitely not Rob Cassidy.
I'll give you a little hint. No, that was not Rob Cassidy. You are correct there. So that was the daughter of a good friend of yours and somebody that you've been a house guest of in the past. Do you want to see it again and see if that triggers anything?
Yeah, show it to me again. I'm bad at these things.
Hey Adam, before you're fixing to have breakfast, do you have a specific morning routine to make you such a good athlete?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I like how she said before you're fixing to have breakfast. I don't know if you picked up on that or not.
Oh, fixin'.
Yeah.
Fixin. That's a good one. That's a good Texas term there.
So that was actually the daughter of Martina Coakley, Scarlett.
Oh my goodness! All right, so yeah, Florida, not Texas. Gotcha. Yeah, I spent some time there. She's Martina's one of my buddies, and she's got lovely children. And her husband and her treated me very nicely when I went to stay, so I appreciated that very much. So Scarlett, I hope things are going well. In terms of morning routine, I do have a pretty extensive routine for tournament days. So I have a little lacrosse ball stretching routine that I do where it's called myofascial release, where I kind of work the lacrosse ball into your muscles and then stretch them out. And that's worked really well for me. I feel like it has helped me stay, healthy with maybe some pulls and some tweaks. And also, I think it helps me move a little more explosively. And I can definitely tell on the court when I have done it or I haven't done it that morning. So it takes me about 30 minutes, 25 or 30 minutes, and I live by it on tournament days and do it every single day before the tournament starts. I definitely get a good breakfast too, probably somewhere 600, 700, 800 calories, and then I don't really eat throughout the day. So I like to get a big hunk of calories in, about 6:30 or 7 before the 8 o'clock start time, and then I will kind of snack or graze throughout the day is how I like to do it. So in terms of warm up, I would say I'm in the middle on warm up. I don't want to go hit for 3 minutes and then play my first round, but I certainly don't want to be out there for an hour either. So I would say 15 to 20 minutes before my first match. And then if I have a gap throughout the day or a little break in the draw where I know it's going to be a little while, then I might sneak out on the court and hit a little bit in between matches throughout the day. And that's pretty much my routine.
All right, great question, Scarlett. And I've got to tell you,
Scarlett, she got me. Scarlett, that was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a great one. And I got to tell you, you must be known for your pre-match stretch routine, because we had at least four different people ask that pretty much the same question, asking for you to talk about your pre-match routine there.
Yeah, it just looks a little weird because you can't really see the lacrosse ball. So I'm just sitting in weird positions, or I have my back up against the wall, and so people just kind of walk up and they're just like, well, what the hell is this guy doing? And they don't understand that there's actually a lacrosse ball down there, and I'm kind of working out my muscles. So I've gotten plenty of comments and plenty of looks like, what the hell's wrong with you, from people at tournaments for sure.
Oh man, that's awesome. For our next question, this one comes from a couple of my personal favorite people in the world of pickleball, and that is the mother and daughter team of Lee and Annalie Waters.
Hey Adam, you know you're one of our favorite pickleball people.
And you're on the Paddletek team, so by now you should know that I love food. So our question to you is, what is your favorite quarantine meal?
Well, quarantine meal. Oh, that's a good question. I'm with Al. I love eating a lot all the time. It's probably the highlight of my day every day. So, she's at a good age where, she can just eat whatever the hell she wants to, and a lot of it. And I am jealous and respect her for that. But I would say, lately it's just been a nice fillet. So a little Costco fillet, and you can cut it up. You get 8 fillets out of it, and it's been great. So maybe I would go with green beans, baked potato, and fillet. That's what I'm going with.
Oh man, that sounds delicious. I could go for a nice fillet right about now.
Yeah, that would go well with that wine you picked tonight too.
That's right. That's right. We'll just see what happens after I finish this podcast. I might have to whip one up.
That
Nice.
sounds delicious.
Oh, that sounds amazing right now. Not
Webby,
gonna lie.
real quick, before you get into the next question, if I disappear during it and I'm not there when you come back, I promise you, don't be worried. I'll be right back.
Okay. We will not call the authorities if your screen is empty when we come back.
Yeah.
All right. So this next one comes from somebody who owns a couch that Adam has become very familiar with over the years. So here is a question from Belinda Zabinden.
I wonder whose couch that is. Do you recognize it, Adam? Who could this be? Hi guys, thanks for having me, Belinda Zabinden, for like the 2 people that don't know. Adam is one of my very good friends. He spent weeks, probably months, a year at my home. And he's a wonderful house guest. I highly recommend him to all the host families out there. He is a wonderful player and person. And so let's see, what is something that would be super fun to know? Let's think. I know that you enjoy long naps and you enjoy sleeping at night. Are there any specific items that you travel with, no matter where you go, to ensure that you sleep well at night? Do tell. Thanks, guys.
Oh, Belinda, that was solid. For the 2 people that don't know, what a statement!
Right?
That just screams Belinda. That statement right there. Well, thank you very much for the question. I have spent plenty of time on that couch. Maybe a little bit less than she alluded to. A year seems like a long time to be there, but I've spent plenty of nights with her and Bubba up in St. George, and a couple more down in Arizona. But yes, I do. I am flying more now, but when I first started, I was driving on these road trips because it made sense. I had plenty of time. That's really the issue with driving, is the time. So I always had a box fan with me to drown out the noise, and a special pillow to take to all of the places that I was staying. So I'm pretty sure that's what she's referring to. And, when you're staying at a random place, you need that white noise, So they could be doing all kinds of stuff, and as long as I have that humming in my ear, I can get my 9 to 11 hours of sleep a night, which I very much like.
That's a good amount of sleep. I would love to get that much sleep. I can't.
And a
I
nap
can't
too.
do it. Nice. Yeah, I wish I could sleep that long. Like even when I have the opportunity, it's just like I just can't sleep past like 7 or 8 a.m. no matter how late I go to bed.
Bad.
I hate it.
It's the most underrated thing you can do for your body. Sleeping's very important.
Oh, for sure. I do love a good nap though. Nothing beats a good nap.
That's true. I like the long naps, where you wake up disoriented and drooling on yourself. Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
I don't want a cat nap. I don't want a 30-minute nap. I'm looking for a nice solid 2 hours where I wake up and I don't know where I am. That's the nap that I want.
Yeah. They always say if there's no drool, then you did not sleep good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Correct.
Oh, nice. All right, so this next one comes from another good friend of ours and a recent podcast guest. Here's one from Deckel Bar.
Oh.
Stone, hope you're doing well and staying safe. Why are you called the delicate flower?
That's a good one. So that's Deckel. That's my buddy. He's my main men's partner moving forward when he's in the country. He still has some school going on in Israel, so he's only here about half the time or so. But I really enjoy competing with him and playing doubles with him, and I think we're gonna have some good success moving forward. So yay, Deckel! I'm a big fan of that guy, and hopefully we can crush some people the rest of this year and next year. So the delicate flower, yes. So. Okay, so actually this all started, well, first off, Jeff Warnick has many sayings, many very good sayings, and one of his is Downy Soft. So if you hit a phenomenal reset, you have some good dinking, you have, they crush one at you, you barely put it over the net in the kitchen, you can call that Downy Soft. And so I have a little bit of that in my pickleball game. But actually where delicate flower came from was bocce ball. So we were playing bocce ball at the Chicken and Pickle that we previously talked about. And it was, I'm trying to think exactly who it was. It was Jeff, myself, Jesse Irvine, and God, who was the fourth? I just don't know. Anyway, so it was throwing you throw the little Polina ball and then you just try to kind of throw the balls next to them. So we were having some cocktails and we're probably rather not sober at this point. So we were just kind of talking trash to each other, and I made a couple good shots, and so it ended up getting to the point where we were just commenting on how delicate my touch was. And so that's where it came from. And then also I had agreed to team up with or partner up with Jesse for the Hawaii tournament, which happened in January of this year. And obviously Jesse just, she just hits the ball harder than I do. So we were flower power. So I was the So most mixed doubles teams, it's the opposite. The guy is doing his thing and the girl is being solid. And so, we just kind of mix that up a little bit with me being a little softer and, Jessie just crushing the ball like she does. So, so quite a backstory on that one. But yes, people do enjoy calling me the delicate flower, maybe a little bit more than I enjoy hearing it, even though I don't mind at this point. Even though I don't mind at all at this point.
That's great.
Nice. Our next question comes from the Canadian sensation himself, Steve Deacon.
Hey guys, I had the pleasure of partnering up and staying with Adam Stone at an event in Florida back in February. I was so impressed with the way Adam prepared for his matches. Can you share with the viewership what that process is for Adam Stone?
See, everybody loves to hear about your preparation routine.
I know. So that's Steve Deacon, Canada's finest. and a very nice looking older gentleman, I might say. It's the salt and pepper. The salt and pepper in the hair, it really works for him. So good for you, Steve. Stacy, you're a lucky woman. So yes, more about the routine. So I told you my morning routine, but I there's also, I like to eat at a specific time the night before. I like to sometimes I have trouble sleeping, but I like to go to sleep about 10 or 11 the night before. No drinking the night before. So I think that he might have been surprised by the many things that I like to tone down before a pickleball tournament. So I take it pretty seriously. It's important to me. I love to compete, and I might be at least a little bit of a wild child in between, with whatever, weird sleeping patterns, a little bit of drinking here and there, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to tournament weekend, I lock it down pretty good. Especially if I have an extremely talented partner like Steve, I don't want to let him down. So locking it in, getting some good food and some good rest, and being in the best situation to compete at the highest level is very important to me on tournament weekend. Even though, unfortunately, with Steve, I didn't quite play my best. I think we had a real shot to win that tournament, and I wish I could have, ramped it up for him a little bit more in those last couple matches. But we got a couple more that we're going to play down the line, and very much looking forward to that.
Very nice. And I was at that tournament. I got a front row seat to watch you guys play, and man, it was awesome watching you guys play together. I thought they were great matches, man.
Very no, I mean, yeah, we lost a good. It's not like it was a disaster or anything. I just wasn't as crisp as I would have liked to be, and we were obviously playing very talented competitors, and you're a little off against the game's elite, you're probably going to lose. And we won some matches, but we lost in a couple spots that I feel like we had a great shot to not lose. And so that's a bit frustrating, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. But that was not the only question we had from Steve. Steve had another great question for you. So let's go ahead and play question number 2.
I also want to know how you deal with loss, because we lost a heartbreaker in the bronze medal match, and I'm still losing sleep over it. Can you share with the viewership how you deal with loss?
No, so I guess I got a little bit into that. It was a heartbreaker, and usually I don't always watch my matches. I do a lot of the time. If it was, I tend to watch the losses more though, and so I actually held off on watching the bronze medal match of that tournament because I knew I didn't play great, and so I held off for a few weeks or maybe even a few months actually, and so I ended up watching it. I don't know, maybe a week or two ago, and it was quite disappointing. So you're playing Ben and Colin. They're obviously going to hit some great shots, but and force errors out of you, which happened plenty. But I missed several shots without being forced into it, and so that hurt my heart a little bit. But I think for the most part, I get over it fine. It sticks with me. I'll bring it up later that day, maybe even randomly a day or two later. But as I mentioned earlier with poker, you lose a lot when you play poker, and there's a ton of luck and variance involved, and so you get very used to losing. So I feel like I was very competitive growing up, and I had issues with losing. And as I've gotten later in life with maybe a slight teeny bit of maturity and also the experience of playing poker and losing thousands of dollars on many, many, many occasions, I think it helps me soften the blow, and it's not as big of an issue for me as it used to be.
Nice. All right. Very nice. So the next question comes from somebody else I had a blast watching play in person at this year's Florida Grand Slam tournament, and that is Jay Duvier.
Hey, buddy. This is my perfect day in quarantine. So my question for you today is, what is your perfect day?
Oh, what is my perfect day? Okay, for quarantine. No, that's a good question. Appreciate that. Jay the Frenchman, talented player, kind of jumping on the scene, into it. Good partner with Pat. Played them a couple times, and I think Jay's a cool guy, and I like his game, and we'll see where it takes him in the next year or two. My perfect day. My quarantine perfect day is probably a leisurely wake up, maybe somewhere between 10 and 11. And just some cook breakfast, get some exercise, maybe do, I don't know, 15 or 30 minutes of something slightly productive so I don't feel super worthless. I don't know. Maybe that's what Jay was doing, vacuuming. Maybe that's vacuuming. Maybe who knows, clean the sink or something. Just do something for 5 minutes so I'm not totally worthless. And then just relax the rest of the day. Watch some shows, watch a movie, cook dinner, and that's pretty much it. It's been pretty low key, and been doing a healthy dose of binge watching, and just trying not to be depressed by how worthless I'm being.
What have you been binge watching?
Oh man, so let's see. Been doing. I started The Last Kingdom recently. I already did Shameless.
Last Kingdom is awesome, by the way. Sorry, man, but that show.
Okay, cool.
Freaking. I watched season 1 when it came out like 3 years ago, and then I didn't watch it since. And then recently I watched 2 and 3, and man, such a good show.
I think I'm on episode 5 of season 1, so that's a fresh one. I'm sure you know how the quarantine's going. Mm-hmm. There's 4 seasons of that. I'll probably finish by tomorrow afternoon.
Right. Solid show, man.
But yeah, so Shameless. I've watched every episode of Shameless, Ozark, The Witcher, which is a little bit like Last Kingdom. There's a little more fantasy. Last Kingdom's a little more serious, and there's a little more magic and stuff in The Witcher, which is good. And I'm a documentary guy. I like documentaries and random stuff like that. So I've been sprinkling those in. But there's like, I don't know, nine seasons of Shameless and 3 of Ozark. So that's been taking up some time, but I've been enjoying that for sure.
So if you're a documentary fan, I feel like you probably had to have watched Tiger King.
Oh yeah, I've seen every episode of Tiger King for sure. So that was a good one. My parents grew up in Oklahoma, so I've enjoyed making fun of them for that, but it's no, Oklahoma's a good spot. I got a lot of family there. It's cool. But yes, Tiger King's very interesting. Some crazy people for sure. So it held my interest. So not everything can do that. So I'll give it a star for me being able to finish it. So it was entertaining for sure.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if I can say it was good, but definitely entertaining and kept my interest, like you said.
Yeah, entertaining for sure. I don't know. I think I'm kind of there with you. It wouldn't be my first choice, but hey, I watched every episode, so it must have done something for me,
Oh yeah. I mean, I got hooked immediately. I couldn't stop watching till I had the whole thing watched. So it definitely did its job.
I haven't started yet for that exact reason. I'm afraid once I start, I won't be able to. It's like a train wreck. You can't look away, right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. It's most things like that. Little docs or reality TV. It's regardless of how great it is, it does grab you a little bit, makes it hard to stop watching. So
yep, exactly.
Don't have anything else to do right now, so it's all good.
Right. All right, so this next question is from another great pickleball player that Adam has teamed up with during tournaments. And here's a question from Callie Smith.
Okay, Adam, here's my question for you. I know you like to have fun on the pickleball court, but I'm sure you've had some embarrassing moments too. So what is your most embarrassing moment that you've had on the court? And if you don't have one on the court, what's your most embarrassing moment that you've had in general or in your lifetime?
Wow. Okay. So let's see here. No, that's a good question. Callie is a great player. I still have had several with her playing this year, but the situation's cutting into that a little bit. Hope things are good in Utah for you. Hopefully practicing up there with Susie a little bit, Callie. Embarrassing moment. I'm sure I've had quite a few on the court. I'm pretty animated. I'm sure I've said some dumb stuff while I've been out there before. But I don't know. Maybe the one I'm thinking of is it was actually at my first nationals, and I was making an okay run in singles, and I was playing Tyler Leung actually, and I was scrambling for a ball. I was right on the kitchen, and I kind of basically hit a volley and fell into the kitchen and landed on my knee. And I kind of sprawled out a little bit. It definitely hurt. It didn't really affect me too much or at all for the rest of that day. But the next day when I woke up, it was a bit of an issue, and I actually didn't play for about a month and a half after that. So I fell down, fell in the kitchen, lost the point, and hurt myself for a month and a half on that one point. So like I said, I didn't really feel it the rest of the singles day. I had a couple more matches, but the next day I knew something was wrong and ended up being a little bit of a bone bruise on my knee. So that's probably what I would say.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh well.
All right, this next question is an interesting one, and it comes from a great friend of all of ours, and that is the one and only Corinne Carr.
Hey Adam, so you have two nicknames for your doubles partner Deckel, Big D and BDL. When Deckel was on Eddie and Webby, he was, I think, too embarrassed to explain BDL. So would you please explain it?
So no, that's a good question. Multiple people have asked that, and so Big D. I mean, it's just his name. It's his name's Deckel, so you call him Big D. He's a big guy. He's probably 6'3", and he's got long arms, and so BDL is just Big D long. That's what that means, and so you'll be in a situation, where you completely fool the guy. He's moving the other direction, and you hit the ball behind him perfectly, and he just kind of reaches his arm out, and he's there, or or there's a big open space on the court, and you're like, oh my God, look at this giant space on the court. I'm just gonna put that ball over there for a winner. And this giant Israeli arm comes out of nowhere and slaps a winner. So yeah, so there's So we say BDL whenever that situation happens, and there's some gross people out there that kind of relate that to something sexual, but it has nothing to do with that. It's only professional. It only has to do with this pickleball game, and nothing else, because that would be crazy and gross.
That's right. I gotta admit, because he wouldn't answer the question, that's definitely straight where my mind went, is right into the gutter.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, of course, and that's where everyone's mind goes, and they should. I mean, given the nickname and everything there, you just
right.
That's just what happens.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Nice. All right. So this next question comes from a longtime friend and supporter of ours, and that is Michelle Esquivel.
Hey Adam. Hey Eddie and Webby. My question for Adam is, since pickleball isn't really played internationally right now, where would you want your first professional pickleball tournament to be at globally, and why? Hope you guys are doing well, and we'll see you soon.
Oh, Michelle, thanks for that question. That's a good question. I haven't thought a ton about that. I guess I would maybe just say Australia, because that's the place that I would like to go in general. So why not just piggyback that with a pickleball tournament? I think that would be That would be very cool. I was planning on. I actually did a little getaway right here. I got the shirt on right now here. Pickleball getaways right here, and that was with Michelle in Cancun. So we went out of the country for that. But we were actually planning had a trip planned out to go to Portugal to do a camp there, which was very exciting, but it did get canceled or at least postponed until next year because of the situation. So so maybe those would be my two choices. I've heard great things about Portugal. I was very excited. I have never been there before, and I was very excited about going to teach the camp. So maybe those would be my top two spots.
All right, very nice.
Make it happen. Yeah, I think it'd be a blast.
Definitely. All right, so closing out tonight's edition of Pros Asking Pros Questions is another one of our all-time favorite people, and that is our good friend Irina Tereshchenko.
Hi, Adam Stone. Irina Tereshchenko here, your Paddletek teammate and traveling companion. Can you please share with the viewers the names of two players, one male, one female, who, in your opinion, have the biggest potential for crushing it in the upcoming pickleball season, and why?
Oh, wow. Okay. No, that's a good question. Man, I didn't realize that was so many things to Irina. I mean, and I agree with all of it. Travel companion, Paddletek teammate, best buddy. I mean, all those things qualify for Irina and myself. So thank you very much for that question. Let's see here. I don't know. Why don't we go with Jay? He was on earlier. He sent me a question. He has a rock solid racket sport background. He played tennis, I believe, at Wichita State. I might have lied about that, but I think that's right. He's a strong guy, a big guy, probably I think maybe 6'2" or 6'3". So he has some good reach, an opposing figure up there at the kitchen line, and he seems into it, which is important, practicing, putting in the work, getting over that learning curve, especially for doubles, is important, and I think that he's over that hump. So I think he's a talented guy. He's young, 26. He's got some age-related upside there, which is important. So I will pick Jay for the men. For the women, that is a great question. For the women, I mean, I guess she's, I don't really know. I don't really have one for the women. I might have to think a little bit longer about that. I mean, I guess she's kind of already on the scene, but maybe I would say Regina Franco, just because she lit me up the last time we played. That's the thing that comes to mind off the top of my head. She's a scrappy player. She gets a lot of balls back in play. She's young as well. Like I said, the last time I played, which was with Jay, it was her and Jay. She lit me up, hit me a couple times, and had a couple different tricks in her bag from the first time or two that we played. So maybe I'll throw that to Regina, and she can have a solid season coming up.
Yeah, love watching both of them play. I think I'm going to agree with you. I think we're going to see some pretty incredible things coming from both of them this next year. So I agree with you.
Good. I'm glad you do. That was important to me.
I know that you're looking for my validation
agreement
on your picks. But, that was good. Well, that was the Pros Asking Pros questions. Man, I got to tell you, we had a ton of people respond and ask questions as you mentioned, which it really does put the person that's kind of talking with you, whether it's Webby or I, in a bit of a bind, because we have to be careful what questions we ask. Because if you noticed, the pros covered so many different topics that we were talking about early on in the conversation. Right.
No, I thought as a whole it was great. It was a good group of people, pros asking me questions and good questions. So I appreciate that. But I get what you're saying too. You don't want to step on any toes, mess with any questions from the pros. So I get it. It probably makes it kind of tough to maneuver.
Yeah, and like we've said before, like they're asking such good questions. They're making our jobs so much easier. We really don't have to do too much. We just kind of start the show, and then they run away with the rest of it.
Well, don't forget about drink beer too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that opens up. I mean, yeah, you're not talking. That's more sipping opportunities. So that's fantastic.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah, and as you can see, my second one is already gone, so I need to make sure I take care of that.
Yeah, that's my second one here. So, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, man, I got to tell you, Adam, this has been go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've drank 3/4 of a bottle of wine. So I'm feeling quite nice. And I might just go whip up a fillet and just see what happens, right?
Yeah, that's right. But you can't make green beans. You got to make haricot vert.
Okay.
So it's key.
I'll Google it. Google it.
No, it's basically it's just the fancy term for green beans. It's like what steakhouses call green beans, but they charge you like $20 for a little portion.
Got you. So, yeah, like when you get the a la carte sides, they always jack them up on you, you know?
Yeah.
That's right. You go to a fancy place like that.
What is your favorite restaurant to get a nice fillet from? Oh
God, I don't know. I like making them at home, to be honest.
Yeah.
Let's see. We had I've been to Ruth's Chris. That was pretty good. But in terms of like fancy steak places, I don't think I've been to too many. Maybe just a handful. I guess Ruth's Chris sticks out in my mind. And like I said, if I'm trying to go big on a steak, it'll probably be done at home.
How do you prepare it?
Oh, just lately I've just been doing a cast iron skillet, salt and pepper. So kind of let it sit out there for an hour or so before you put it on, and just give it a good bath with some salt and pepper, and then just stick it on there, man. Maybe a few minutes aside, and get it medium rare or medium, and that'll be that.
Next time we're hanging out at a tournament, we'll cook some steaks, because that sounds exactly how I like them.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat it. There's no sense in complicating it.
Yeah, let the meat do the work, man. It's filet mignon. It's meant to be just devoured and enjoyed and appreciated. And every morsel of it. Love it.
That's right.
Well, Adam, I got to tell you, man, this has been an absolute blast having you on. Obviously, as you can tell, there are a lot of people out there who enjoy you and what you're doing for pickleball. Obviously, you've made a ton of friends in the pro circuit with the responses we got from them. So we definitely appreciate you sharing your perspective on pickleball, your history in sports and poker, man. This has been an absolute blast.
Well, hey, happy to do it. Yeah. So I mean, I'm getting more and more involved. Just playing a little bit at the beginning, but I'm doing some teaching and some camps and clinics and meeting more people. So it was very cool to hear those questions and have everyone submit those for me. So I very much appreciate it. And pickleball is very cool, and I am very into it, and not going anywhere anytime soon. So looking forward to what the future has in store for the sport, and for me and the sport. So very cool.
That's awesome stuff, man. And we always give everybody an opportunity to plug away anything you want to. If there's a way, I know you're not a big social media guy, but if there's a way for people to follow you there, or kind of follow what you got going on in the pickleball world, here's your opportunity to share it with the thousands of people.
I got you. Right now. Yeah, well, I only have a Facebook. I don't even have an Instagram or a Twitter. So I'm hopefully about to re-sign a contract with Paddletek, who I love a lot. I like the people involved and the product, and I'm sure that I will need to be a little bit more involved on the social media. So maybe that's something in the next couple months that I'll ramp up and jump into, what do they call it, the Twitterverse and all that other stuff. But right now I'm just on Facebook, just being just acting my age of almost 40, and not jumping on all those platforms. But I might have to do it soon. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. Maybe I'll have some more plugs next time I'm on.
That sounds good, man. And as Deckel has put in the Facebook comments, this is the year of Stone.
You're damn right, Deckel. You're damn right. Let's go, baby.
Love it, man. Honestly, Adam, again, I can't tell you enough how much we appreciate you being on. As everybody knows out there, we ran into some technical issues last week. I'm glad we got them resolved, and everything was good. So thank you again, man. Really appreciate it. Love what you're doing with pickleball, and can't wait to have you on again in the future.
All right, sounds good, guys. Thanks a lot. We will hopefully see you soon. All right.
Absolutely, man. You have a good night.
All right, bye, guys.
See ya. Man, another super fun night.
Seriously,
Such
I mean,
cool,
that was
a cool guy.
Yeah, cool guy. I mean, obviously, like, dominant force in the pickleball court. Overall, good guy. I mean, what he's doing for the sport is absolutely incredible. Has such a unique background coming from poker, and I just very interesting. Like, I honestly feel like once again, we didn't even have enough time to like go as deep as I would have liked to, but unfortunately, like, we can't be here till 2 a.m. for every podcast.
Yeah, we just got to have some of these people back on because I feel like we barely scratched the surface on the discussions we can have. And I definitely thought like his poker background was super, super interesting to me. So even that I'd like to dig into more. But yeah, that was awesome getting to know more about him.
Yep. Adam Stone's good guy, one of the good ones. And the response we got from the pros asking pros questions was absolutely incredible. Like I gotta tell you, man, I love that segment. I'm so glad we started to do that.
Yeah, I do too. I look so forward to that, and I love to see what kind of questions people come up with, and they're always great. And what blows my mind is up until this one, we have never had a duplicate question before, but a whole bunch of people wanted to make sure Adam talked about his pre-match routine, so that came up a few times. So, but I think that's just a testament to how unique and how great his pre-match routine is. So
what I was going to tell you is the next time we're at a tournament together and we're live streaming it, we're going to have to remember before Adam's name is called, you're going to have to get your camera and go find out where he is and get video of it. So that way we can actually have proof of what his pregame routine is.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely got to happen.
For sure. Anything else we want to cover during today's episode number 65 of the podcast, if you can believe that?
Man, that's crazy. I can't believe we've already reached 65 episodes. I actually do have one thing I want to bring up. Something just kicked off this week, a very cool event put on by the folks at Pickleballist, and it is the COVID-19 Day Pickleball Fitness Challenge, and today was day 2. So what you want to do is go to pickleballist.com, create an account, and you can check it out every day for 19 days. A different pickleball pro or just somebody well-known in the world of pickleball will be doing a new training or drill session for you to do. So it's going to be a 19-minute routine, either a workout or drill session, and they'll give you step-by-step tips and steps on how to do the workout for the day. It's going to be a short video, just a few minutes long, but they'll tell you exactly what to do and how to get your 19-minute workout in. And something else really cool about it is if you do it every day, if you check in and prove that you did these every day, you'll be eligible for some pretty awesome prizes. They got paddles. They got a whole bunch of really cool things that they're giving out there. So, I mean, I highly recommend it, especially during this time of quarantine where we're all stuck in the house anyway. I mean, it's very, very important to stay active. So why not try this out for 19 minutes a day for 19 days? Pretty awesome stuff. And if you listened to Dinking Around last week, there's a rumor going around that Eddie and I might actually host one of the workout sessions.
What? Come on.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying on the streets. So you'll just have to check out Pickleballist and see, because you very well might learn how to do some slick tricks if you stay tuned.
Ooh. You're going to want to know how to do those because let me tell you, they are the slickest of tricks out there.
That's right.
Well, man, that was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for being interactive. Great questions and comments for Adam Stone. That was a great one, Webby. I had a blast.
Yeah, it was a very fun one. And like you said, great questions from people tuning in. Great questions from the pros. It's just, yeah, awesome. Awesome night. Super fun.
I agree. And one thing I also want to say is that this has been episode 65, which means there's 65 of you out there still listening. Guess what?
What?
We appreciate you. On that note, I'm Eddie.
And until next time, this is Webby, not Eddie, signing off.
See ya.